Why do I feel so sad about the destruction of a location? It's not even the death of a character, but actually in some ways it really is. Ever since we first saw it in 2002 in Attack of the Clones, Kamino has been a symbol for everything we love about the clones and the Clone Wars. Because it's the start of all of this, the birthplace of the clones, the home of the clones. It stands for so much. And what's most tragic of all is that it was the clones themselves who destroyed it. But wait, wouldn't they have some sort of inbuilt programming to never destroy Kamino or harm a Kaminoan? Wouldn't the Kaminoans have thought of this, that if they were ever turned against them, they'd have a failsafe? Also, was there anyone else still on Kamino while Tipoca City went down? Because it seems like there was. There's a hint of that later. I'll get to that in a bit. Here are 43 Easter eggs, details, and a breakdown of The Bad Batch, episode 15. The Clone Wars are truly over, the end of an era, the end of so much. Jango Fett's home, also gone. Everything, man. Far out. There's so much here. Hey everyone, it's Andrew. So the episode is titled Return to Kamino, and immediately I was like, wait a second, Hunter promised Omega she'd never return. So clearly he's failed his promise. We also won't be seeing more of the clone commandos on Daro, so no more Delta Squad in this. Or the episode opens with Hunter being transported by Crosshair to Kamino, so no more Daro from last episode. Also throughout the episode, right from this first scene, we see how well Crosshair knows the Bad Batch, and he predicts their actions. He knows they'll come for Hunter, even though they know it's a trap. Alright, so down on Ord Mantell, the Bad Batch are repairing the ship after it was nearly destroyed while escaping the Empire on Daro, and straight up, we see another use for Gonki. He's now a toolbox, or rather toolbox holder. I like how everyone's helping repair the ship. If this show's getting one thing right, it's making Gonk droids actually useful. Then Wrecker shows up and says he left Gregor with Sid and that she's not too happy about it, and to be honest, I'm not too happy about it either. I mean, the Bad Batch went all the way to Daro to save Gregor and basically exchanged him for Hunter. They saved Gregor, but Hunter gets captured by the Empire. So why wouldn't he come with them to help save Hunter? It's not like he's too busy, he's got other stuff going on. Even if he's a reg, they're all clones. I think he'd feel inclined to come and help a brother out, unless there's some real urgency to meet up with Rex, something we don't know about yet. Also, the reason Sid isn't too happy about it is because when the Bad Batch went to Daro, they were halfway through a mission for her. So seeing as though they never completed that mission, she's probably not being paid by her client and probably kind of a little salty about it. On the ship's dashboard, we can see some Aurebesh writing. This here says Hunter, and this says device connected. So obviously they're connected to Hunter's tracking device. So Crosshair has activated Hunter's comms device so the Bad Batch can track Hunter and fall into Crosshair's trap and return to Kamino, and the Bad Batch realize he's not on Daro anymore. As we head down towards Kamino, you'll notice 3 Imperial Venators in space above the planet, and as the episode progresses, the Venators creep closer and closer towards the planet's surface, ominous and looming, getting ready to execute the Empire's final plans here. And what I love about this scene, something I'm sure so many of you picked up on, is the music. This is the same theme that plays the first time Obi-Wan arrives on Kamino in Attack of the Clones. And even if you didn't consciously notice this, I'm sure you still felt some sense of familiarity and also tragedy. The sound design and music in the show has been incredible because of the motifs and nostalgia embedded within each location and scene, and it's almost like Kamino has come full circle. This was the first time we arrived here, we hear the same music, and this is the last. So Hunter's arrived back on Kamino, and he gets to meet Admiral Rampart, who comments on the destruction the Bad Batch caused on Ryloth. Hunter's got nothing to say. He knows he's looking into the eyes of pure evil. Also, immediately you'll notice the TK troopers, not clones, are the ones who are here. They're walking around, they're patrolling, and it just feels so wrong. They should not be here. It becomes clear that Rampart is also suspicious of Crosshair's motives. He takes Hunter away, but Rampart says,
"If his plan fails, none of them will be a problem any longer."
I still think Crosshair hasn't realized he's expendable. The Empire don't actually care. More on that in a sec as well. As the Bad Batch arrive at Kamino, Echo asks where's the rest of the fleet? Where have they taken the rest of the clones? We know that over the past few episodes they've begun moving them off Kamino, but to where exactly? Where is their new location? Where's their new home? Where are they being stationed? So Omega gets them to fly low, activating this secret platform, and we can see Topoka City in the distance. What's interesting is that for a kid, Omega really knows her way around this place, like she's been here 1,000 times. She activates the tube system, this one leading specifically to Nala Se's secret private research lab. And we know the Kaminoans have been secretive, they are secretive people, Echo even mentions that, but why did Nala Se have a secret landing platform and lab? It's because she was the chief scientist, the brains behind so much of this operation. Therefore, she was given this as a way of escaping or getting around without alerting others. We know she was experimenting, working on a bunch of stuff that wasn't supposed to be public information, so was this her contingency plan, her way of getting out? Unfortunately, she was unable to use it though, as she's now in captivity. The Empire have her. Also, did you notice how Omega operates the touchscreen, which is clearly covered in water, because look how much, it's completely pouring rain here. Have you ever tried using a touchscreen while it's wet? Doesn't work! So the Kaminoans have figured out how to make them work while wet. Very impressive stuff. Forget the clones. This is the technology where I'm most impressed by. Also, while underwater, we see some fish. I tried searching. I think these could be called roller fish, but not sure we've ever seen them before, actually. Not sure we've ever been this far below sea level on Kamino. So new fish, there you go. And while in the tube, I love this tube network, it's really cool. Omega's mood suddenly changes. She gets real sad, and Echo asks if she's okay. Here, I think she's remembering the life she had on Kamino before things got complicated, before the dark times, before the Empire. I'm sure she also misses Nala Se, who she's thinking of, who was like a mother to her. As we're walking through the corridors, we see more TK troopers. Again, super wrong seeing them here. And Hunter realizes the facility is being decommissioned, and also wonders where the Kaminoans and clones have gone. Where have they moved them to? Then he comments on how Crosshair doesn't seem to be too concerned about this, to which he replies,
"Why would I be? Because the Empire will be phasing out clones next."
Crosshair hasn't realized the Empire see him as expendable, that at any second they could, turn and decommission him because they don't need clones anymore. He's part of the operation for getting them to the stage of not needing clones, but clearly they're nearly there. Now, it took me a while to figure out why Crosshair is so upset about being left behind when he was executing Order 66 and following his programming. He's real broody in this, saying stuff like,
"They don't leave their own behind. Most of the time."
Hunter says,
"You tried to kill us. We didn't have a choice."
To which Crosshair replies with,
"And I did."
Crosshair was following his inhibitor chip programming. He couldn't help but fire on the Jedi, disagree with his brothers, and eventually turn on them. It wasn't his choice, and that's why he's so salty. Because even though the Bad Batch eventually learned about the inhibitor chips and that Crosshair wasn't making his own decisions, they didn't attempt to rescue him. All they really did was try to reason with him each time they faced off, like on Bracca. Hunter keeps telling him it's the inhibitor chip making him follow the orders of the Empire, and Crosshair obviously does nothing because he's following his programming, and the Bad Batch flee. They never made an effort to actually come after him and try and rescue him. They left their brother behind, and that's why he's so upset. I mean, to be fair, Crosshair becomes deeply rooted in the Empire, and you'd have to think there'd be almost no way to save him. He was constantly surrounded by the Empire, and he wouldn't come willingly, so it's not like they could do much, but still potentially could have made more of an effort, right? If it was Hunter, just think, if Hunter executed Order 66, they would have gone after him, wouldn't they? They would have gone and tried to rescue him. So Omega and the Bad Batch arrive at Nala Se's research lab, and Omega tells the others that this is where she was created, and also where the Bad Batch were created. Their genetic mutations were enhanced in this room, and she was there, watching on, observing their growth. Omega is older than the Bad Batch. Remember, she's an unmodified clone, like Boba Fett. She's the closest thing to Jango, whereas the Bad Batch have accelerated aging, similar to the Rex. But it's so weird, especially because Hunter's taken on like the father role, and she's just a kid, but she's older than them. What? Mind-bending weird stuff. While in the lab, Echo comments on how the central files have been wiped and there's nothing else in the system. Later, it becomes clear that the Empire have taken all the Kamino and cloning research and wiped it from the facility, just in case someone else was gonna, make a copy and figure out how to make more clones. They don't want that there, tying up loose ends. And then we meet up with Aslan. I'm really glad he was included in this episode. Great callback to the Clone Wars and his involvement in the whole 5 saga and inhibitor chips. And he tells the Bad Batch that soldiers were deactivating droids and forcing medical Kaminoans onto transports. and those who resisted were eliminated. He also tells them that all clones have been reassigned and transferred off-world, apart from Crosshair, confirming Crosshair is the only clone left at this facility. The end of an era. No more clones, not even the youngest. It's so sad. So Hunter and Crosshair are in this room we've seen make a few appearances in the show before, and I'm pretty sure this is a map of Kamino. We can see these circles here look like the cloning facility and Topoka City. Wish I could read the red writing, but it's too far out of focus. I'm sure it says something interesting though. Hunter then speaks to Crosshair.
Can't you see they're using you? It's that inhibited chip in your head.
There's something Crosshair isn't telling Hunter here, but again, Hunter's still going on about the goddamn inhibitor chip. Dude, wake up. We see more TK troopers roaming around the hallways again. So wrong seeing them here in the place of clones. The Bad Batch make their way into the droid training room, which houses the clones training droids. Okay, now we're getting to the pointy end. And did you guys notice how confident Tech is in his decisions? He's like, let's surprise them by taking the elevator instead of the main entrance. They'll never think of that. We'll have a slight advantage. And then they go up and Crosshair is literally right there with his firing squad. He knows how Tech would think. I love how completely lost they are without Hunter, just making terrible decisions. Oh, and Echo tells Omega to get back to the ship and contact Rex when they're still downstairs, but why wouldn't they just contact Rex before? Why leave it until now when they're literally about to be captured, potentially going to be captured? Why'd they come all this way and then be like, no, Omega, actually, you know what? You go back to the ship. Now it's too dangerous. Now we'll call for backup. How about just let Rex know right from the start where you guys will be at and, you know, maybe he can come save you. So Crosshair throws down Hunter's comms device the Bad Batch used to track his location. He's been controlling it all along, of course, and Crosshair's plans are complete. Almost. We start to learn of Crosshair's true intentions. And there are a lot of similarities between this speech and Vader's in Empire when he's talking to Luke, or to the Emperor's speech in Return of the Jedi when he's also trying to convince Luke to turn to the dark side, or literally any other classic villain speech. They're all the same. The whole join me and you'll have power, you'll rule the galaxy kind of thing, you know, they're all evil. Crosshair says, you betrayed everything we stood for. Being brothers, having each other's backs, no matter what, that's all done, that's all gone. You guys ruined that. You didn't have my back. You left me. We're loyal to each other, not the Empire. So the Bad Batch respond that we're loyal to each other and not the Empire, and then Crosshair's all like,
You weren't loyal to me.
okay, now this is starting to make some sense. And then he says,
It's why I'm going to give you what you never gave me. A chance.
so it's clear that in some way, Crosshair actually misses his brothers. He wants to give them purpose. He wants them to join the Empire. Later, he goes on and says, we're not like the Regs. We never have been. We're superior. The Empire can't protect the galaxy without strength. This is what we were made for. He wants them to join the Empire, to do what they were made to do. Be the super soldiers they are, and not aimlessly wander the galaxy as mercenaries. One of the main points I've been making throughout this series was that the Bad Batch had no real purpose. As long as they were together and protecting Omega, it was almost as if they seemed happy to work for Sid as mercenaries and live, you know, day to day, earning the money they needed to eat and to refuel the ship. So aimless and just, you know, without real purpose. So Crosshair is offering them that purpose, offering them a position in the Empire to do what they were genetically modified to do. Now, one thing I don't understand about this whole thing is what Crosshair says about Omega. He's like,
Send her on a shuttle off-world. It's for her own good. And yours.
why does Crosshair care about Omega? Why not just kill her now? He seems to have such hatred towards Regs, so why is he happy to just, you know, send her away and forget about her? He even questions Hunter's reasons for keeping Omega with them. Living among fugitives where she's in constant danger? Why do you care? You want to protect the kid? Then let her go. And I find this especially odd because there has to be also some jealousy involved in this situation. Omega is basically Crosshair's replacement in the Bad Batch. They took her in and left him behind. So I feel like he either knows something about Omega that we don't, or he knows that she's a pure unmodified clone and for some reason that she could be valuable in future and therefore doesn't want to kill her. Don't know, still weird. And then Tech spots this small reflective circle to the left. There's also another one behind him over his shoulder. And then after Crosshair orders his squad to step down and they refuse, he shoots the circle and with one blast kills the entire squad. to prove his loyalty to the Bad Batch, to his brothers. He doesn't care about the Empire. He possibly never cared about the Republic. He's in it for what he was made to be, a super soldier, a special ops commando. And for the first time since episode 1, the boys have to fight as brothers to defeat the training droids. And we see how well they work together as a full squad. We see them band together once again and have, I guess, some form of bonding. So at this point, the elite squad member sees the Bad Batch all caught up fighting the droids, but also sees the fallen members of the elite squad. So she runs off and gives Admiral Rampart a call and informs him that Crosshair has lost control of the situation. This is enough for Rampart to pull all remaining forces out and let the clones die. So she gets on a shuttle and leaves, and you'll notice the Venators are now just above the clouds. They've descended into the atmosphere. Rampart speaks to Admiral Tarkin. He says,
All essential personnel have been removed from Kamino.
When he says all essential personnel, does he just mean everyone not including the Bad Batch? Or are there other people still here that the Empire doesn't care about? They're just happy to blow up and kill. Other Kaminoans, perhaps. Also, it seems like Lama Su is definitely dead, right? I mean, last episode Rampart said he had no use for a politician, and there's been no mention of him since. But Tarkin does ask about the chief medical scientist, Nala Se, which I thought was really interesting. Rampart says she's been secured, so obviously she's in Imperial custody and the Empire has future plans for some sort of cloning operation. Why else would they want to keep her alive? What are they going to do? They're going to make a bunch of clones. You may fire when ready, obviously a reference to A New Hope, but isn't this line just so chilling? Cutting straight back to Rampart's face after Tarkin says this also. Oh man, goosebumps. So the Bad Batch take down the last of the droids and Crosshair puts his hand on his forehead as if remembering the good times being part of the squad or hinting at what he's about to reveal. What's he thinking of here? What's he doing? And then he looks almost dazed as if he's trying to make a decision about what to do next, as if he's accepted his fate. Hunter tries again. Forget the Empire. This isn't you. It's your inhibitor chip. And then the huge reveal.
I had my chip removed a long time ago.
Dun dun dun! Is he telling the truth? Not sure. I think he is, and he tells them, this is who I am. So they face off, and Hunter stuns him. But what was he going to do? He was going to get shot. The others were pointing their blasters at him as well. What's he trying to do? Did he know he'd be stunned? Hunter then turns to Omega and apologizes. He says, I know I promised you wouldn't have to come back here. I'm sorry. A nice moment. Strange now, though, seeing as though we learned Omega is older than all of them. Hunter then bends down to look at Crosshair's head. He notices the damage caused by the Venator engine on Bracca. He was telling the truth, it seems. He has had his chip removed, or at least damaged in some way. And then, I'm sorry, sir. It's time for you to leave. All empty. We see the Bad Batch's quarters. I think that's where this is anyway. We see the mess hall. We see the cloning vats, all empty. This shot of the cloning vats really killed me. The Star Destroyers are looming. Isn't it so messed up that the clones are the ones to pull the trigger? This killed me. They destroyed their home. But like I said, I'm really surprised their programming doesn't override this. How did the Kaminoans not think of this? Why is there no failsafe or contingency just in case the clones ever turned against the Kaminoans? And this is the end of an era. The city goes down. Now, a couple things to remember. Tapoka City wasn't the only cloning facility on Kamino, right? So have the Empire also destroyed the others? Are there other Kaminoans still inhabiting other parts of the planet as well? Because I'm sure there's a bunch of other cities. Have the Empire just completely eradicated everyone from the planet? Also, I'm still hoping we see some sort of clone uprising, which Rex seems to be working on in the background, but unfortunately, the clone uprising we're all hoping to see on Kamino isn't gonna happen. They won't be defying the Empire and defending their home, it seems. but it's even more tragic. They are the ones to destroy it. And what about Omega? Lama Su wanted Omega for the Kaminoans' contingency plan, which is why she hired Cad Bane to capture her. So at this point, it seems like Omega is no longer being hunted, unless Nala Se has told Fennec Shand to make sure she's safe. Maybe we'll see her pop up in the next episode. The Bad Batch have run back inside the city, trying to escape the Venator's blast of fire, the barrage, the orbital strike. I'm sure they'll escape somehow, and I wonder how much of a redemption arc we'll see for Crosshair. Will he rejoin the squad and assimilate, or will he be killed? Lots of questions, and I'm guessing next episode will also be a season-ending cliffhanger, so really can't wait for that. But what did you think of this, guys? Such a dark, sad tone in the end. Really love to know your thoughts down below. Pay some respects to Kamino. And for more on the Bad Batch and Star Wars gaming, you can watch one of these videos here, and come follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and join my Discord. Send your love out to Kamino. And thanks for watching this. My name's Andrew. I'll catch you soon.
Stay bombastic.